Celebration TV. Revealing Jesus, releasing destinies. This is Celebration TV.
To 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosu.
This is Celebration Television News Desk. I am James Comfort, and thank you so very much for joining us. A quick look at the top stories for today. From the local scene, Sinach thrills fans at Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church. Army begins special operation November 1st. From the foreign scene, Lauren Daigle sets new record high with You Say as #1 for 62 weeks on Billboard charts. On business, Twitter inadvertently used email addresses for ads. And on sport, sadly it wasn't meant to be. Oshiola devastated by Nigeria's Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games miss. Stay with us as we bring you the details of the news just right after this time out. Welcome back, and now the news in details. Sinach thrills fans at Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church. Arguably Nigeria's biggest gospel music export, Sinach delivered a stellar performance at the Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church in Texas. She was invited to minister on the 5th and 6th of October 2019. Sinachi Joseph has been on a trailblazing stick for months now, making inroads in what would be normally referred to as uncharted territories for any African gospel artist. Recalling the invitation, she shared that when she got the call that Lakewood Church wanted to have her, it did not seem real. She had recently, however, concluded tours in very far-flung parts of the world, including nations in the West Indies and the Caribbean, Europe, America, and Australia. Sinachi was in India late September in New Delhi and Pune, leading thousands of fans in worship. Waymaker and I Know Who I Am has turned out to be her biggest hit and the biggest to come out of Africa, with Waymaker leading the chart with 100 million YouTube views as of March 2019. And overall statistics of various versions of Waymaker from both English and Spanish-speaking artists totaled up to 1 billion views combined on YouTube, making the song one of the most remixed songs with the highest YouTube views in recent times. Michael W. Smith, Jesus Culture, Bethel Music, Leland, Priscilla Bunu are some of the artists who have remixed Waymaker, thus making it the most remixed song from the African gospel music minister. Now, see from the local scene, National Assembly sets November 28 target for budget passage. The National Assembly on Tuesday said it would pass the 2020 appropriation bill on November 28, 2019. The chairman of the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, made this known when he addressed journalists after the budget presentation by President Muhammadu Buhari. He stated that the lawmakers had a desire to reverse the budget calendar to January and through December. The House spokesman said while the appropriation bill was presented on Tuesday, the House would debate the general principles of the budget on Wednesday and Thursday, after which it would be passed for second reading and referred to the standing committees, also known as subcommittees on appropriations. Carlo also said the House would adjourn plenary on Thursday till October 30, 2019 to allow the committees to hold budget defense sessions with federal government ministries, departments and agencies. He added that the leadership of the House would meet with leaders of the standing committees at 7 p.m. on Thursday to discuss the roadmap for timely passage of the budget. The lawmakers also said the National Assembly would hold a public hearing on the budget between October 21st and 22nd, 2019. Meanwhile, the presidency dismissed the fears by Nigerians that the increment of the value-added tax from 5% to 7.2% as reflected in the 2020 budget would cause more hardship for them. The senior special assistant to the President on National Assembly matters, Mr. Omar El Yakub, who addressed journalists after the budget presentation, said the revenue from the higher VAT would be used to develop the health and education sectors. When asked if the presidency was aware that the VAT increment could worsen the plight of Nigerians, El Yakub said no. He added that the government is proposing a marginal increment of the VAT to finance the budget. As you heard Mr. President say, most of the money would be going to the state governments. However, to explain further, there was a long list. Mr. President took time to read out the list of those exempted from the VAT increment. And certainly those that have been exempted, which are essentially food, medicine, education and health care, are actually those that would have affected the ordinary Nigerians. And lastly, from the local scene, embattled Bayelsa Speaker resigns. Bayelsa State House of Assembly has received an official letter of resignation from the embattled former Speaker of the House, Mr. Tonye Isena. The Senate's letter was read on the floor of the House by his successor, Mr. Monday Bobo Obolo, during plenary on Monday. Recall that Isena was impeached on September 30, 2019 by 17 out of the 18 People's Democratic Party lawmakers of the 24 members of Assembly following his refusal to resign, and in his place, Bobo Obolo was elected Speaker. The former Speaker's resignation letter was dated September 30th, the day he was removed by the lawmakers. They said the resignation became necessary for peace to reign and for the greater good of the state. The Majority Leader and House Committee Chairman on Information, Mr. Bernard Kenebai, moved the motion for Isena's letter to be accepted and adopted as a working document of House and was seconded by Miltema Obodo. The Speaker thanked members for their understanding, noting that they had once again demonstrated that they could subordinate their personal interest to the interest of the state. And looking at the security sector, Army begins special operation on November 1st. The Nigeria Army has said it will begin operations Python Dance and Crocodile Smile in the southeast and southwest on November 1st. The Army added that the exercise I Am Apatuma would commence on the same day in the North Central. The Chief of Army State Lieutenant General Toko Baratai stated these at a press conference in Abuja. Baratai, who was represented by Chief of Training and Operations Major General Enobong Udo, said the exercises to be conducted are I Am Apatuma 2 in the North Central and the parts of Northwest states of Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Taraba, Kaduna, and Niger in 1 and 3 divisions. Exercise Egueke 4 will be carried out in the southeast, comprising Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states in 82 division areas of responsibility. Exercise Crocodile Smile 4 will be held across states in the south, south, and southwest, comprising Oka, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Rivers, and Ogu in 2, 6, 81, and 82 divisions areas of responsibility. They will be conducted from November 1st through December 25th. This has become necessary owing to threats that are burgeoning in the aforementioned zones and also aimed at curtailing the movement of bandits, armed robbers, ethnic militia, and cattle rustlers. Meanwhile, the Yobe State Governor Alhaji Balabuni on Tuesday met with Buratai in Abuja to seek solutions to the the insecurity occasioned by the Boko Haram insurgents. This is just as troops of the Nigerian Army on Operation Lafayette arrested 9 Boko Haram suspects in a hamlet in the Mainok area of Borno State. The Army, in a statement on Tuesday, said plenary investigations revealed that the Boko Haram suspects were spies. The Yobe governor, in a brief remark, said the new Boko Haram attacks on communities in Yobe State were perpetrated by insurgents who fled from Borno and were seeking a safe haven. And coming up next is from the international scene. Lauren Daigle set new record high with You Say is #1 for 62 weeks on Billboard chart. We'll be back with the details of the news.
Shout Jesus!
The man. The message.
For you to see power, there must be a testing of the soul, the inner man, and the longing of the flesh, the outer man. The inner man must desire, the outer man must pay the price for power to be released.
The mandate.
I'm seeing 3 coffin. I'm seeing 1 already covered. Somebody died. Somebody
died on Friday.
On Friday.
Yes, someone died.
There's 2 more. I'm seeing his own name in the coffin. I'm seeing another coffin. I'm seeing Portia.
My wife.
Your wife.
Yes, sir.
You and your family, you are preserved, healed. Give me a hand.
Open Heavens 2019 Asaba Delta State.
Praise be the name of Jesus. Still on our Open Heaven campaign train, we will be coming to Delta State. We'll be in Asaba. Do you live in Enugu? Do you live in Owerri? Do you live in Ebonyi? Do you live around the Eastern Axis? Do you live in Delta State? Be my guest as I come to Cenotaph in Asaba for 2 days of glory. 4 meetings, 2 days, 1 venue, 1 preacher, several voices lifting up the expectations to God and asking Him for an outburst of miracles. This year will not end the way it started. We're believing God that this year is not permitted to roll off totally until you have a testimony in your mouth. I'll see you as I come to Delta State. I will be in Asaba.
8 and 9.
Welcome back. And from the foreign scene, Lauren Daigle just broke the record for longest reign on Billboard's Hot Christian Songs chart. Her song You Say has been in the #1 spot in the category for 62 weeks. By the 62nd week, You Say overtook Hillsongs United's Ocean, Where My Feet May Feel, which remained #1 on the Hot Christian Songs chart for 61 weeks starting December 2013. Lauren speaking said she really pondered the journey of the song Oceans and remembers seeing the impact the song made on so many people. Daigle told BBC that she hoped that she could be a part of something that shakes the earth like that song and didn't know that it would ever happen, and not even with You Say. The news of You Say breaking Billboard records came just days after Daigle announced her Lauren Daigle World Tour with Johnny Swim, which will begin in Australia next year and end in Lafayette in July 2020, according to Fox News. You Say first hit #1 on the Christian chart in July of last year. The song, which Daigle co-wrote with Jason Ingram and Paul Marbury, came from her album Look Up Child and reminds listeners that their identity is in Jesus Christ, and not in what they or others think about them. Daigle explains the story behind You Say in the video, saying that after her first Dove Awards, she was trying to process what happened and how to come back to reality. She realized that she went through periods of really high highs and really low lows. Pop singer Selena Gomez recently praised Daigle for her anointing that burst out ferociously in her voice, words, and music. She further called Daigle and her music a blessing. You Say won the 2019 Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Christian Music of the Year. Still from the foreign scene, White House will not cooperate with impeachment inquiry. The White House has officially refused to cooperate with the impeachment inquiry against President Donald Trump. A letter sent to Democratic leaders rejected it as baseless and constitutionally invalid. 3 Democratic-led House committees are investigating Mr. Trump. The inquiry is trying to find out if the president held back aid to Ukraine to push it to investigate Joe Biden, who is running for the Democratic presidential nomination. The White House letter comes hours after the Trump administration blocked the U.S. ambassador to European Union from appearing before a congressional impeachment investigation. White House counsel Pat Cipollone addressed the 8-page letter to the leading Democrat and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the 3 chairmen of the Democratic committees. He accused the leaders of setting up an inquiry that violates fundamental fairness and constitutionally mandated due process, specifically by not holding a vote on launching the inquiry. The letter accuses Democrats of trying to change the 2016 election result and attacks the investigation as constitutionally invalid and a violation of due process. News from the world of business: Twitter inadvertently used email addresses for ads. Stay with us as we bring you the details of the news after this break.
The earthly spiritual action that will provoke heaven's divine reactions about to happen in the city of Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Open Heavens 2019, Apostle Johnson Suleiman, October. Expected.
Welcome back. Twitter has apologized for unintentionally using email addresses and phone numbers provided by users for account security to enable targeted advertising. The company said third-party marketers may have been able to reach specific users on Twitter based on contact details, even if the user had not wished the information be used this way. In a statement, Twitter said it cannot say with certainty how many people were impacted, but the BBC understands that this affects users globally. Unusually, the company is not proactively contacting customers directly to inform them of the breach. The company would not say when it discovered the issue, but said it had addressed the problem as of September 17 through 21 days ago. The firm said it was no longer using phone numbers or email addresses collected for safety or security purposes for advertising. Twitter, which has its European headquarters in Dublin, would not confirm whether or not it had notified the Irish Data Protection Commissioner, other than to say it was communicating with regulators where appropriate. Under Europe's General Data Protection Regulation, users must be informed if data is used for a purpose other than what it was intended for. Twitter says it has 139 million users that use the platform every day and are served with adverts. Moving forward, IMF boss Kristalina Georgieva warned of painful Brexit. The new head of the International Monetary Fund has warned that Brexit in whatever form will be painful, adding to the effects of a global slowdown. Kristalina Georgieva said the split will hurt not only the UK and European Union, but also low-income countries with economic ties to them. IMF data shows that growth has already slowed in almost 90% of the world. It is very obvious that this is going to be painful, she said. Ms. Georgieva said UK politicians will have to figure out how to shield people hurt by Brexit, but the options available to fund those measures are limited. The choices are not many. You either borrow or you look at the tax increase, she said. Ms. Georgieva said the IMF is also concerned about the effect of Brexit outside the UK. I particularly worry about low-income countries that are in a significant way dependent on the European Union and the UK, she said. Unfortunately, this is not great news, she said, of Brexit, and it comes at a time of compounded other factors that slow down growth. Up next is news from the world of sports. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And from the world of sports, Guardiola writes of Man United's top 4 ambition. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has wrote of Manchester United as a top 4 candidate. The Spaniard named Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea and Leicester when discussing the current battle in the table. Guardiola said when asked to predict the title race, it's too early. There is one team above the others, Liverpool, and then another which is close. I don't know how big the gap is for Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea and Leicester and the other ones. It's not too big and there are only 7 games gone, he added. Liverpool is a little bit of a faster horse than the other ones, but it's too early for them. It's too early to say whether it will be for 1, 2 or 3 teams, he said. I never wanted to play for Nigeria, says Abraham. Tammy Abraham is looking to fully commit to England, with the Chelsea striker eager to become a regular in the Three Lions fold and bring a debate regarding his international allegiance to a close. Abraham insists the Nigeria question has not been raised during his time in the England camp, saying he never wanted to play for another country except England. I'm a player growing up in England, playing in the Premier League. My ambitions were always to play for England. Obviously, it's not nice, and it is nice rather to be wanted by two nations that I love, but my main focus is England, he said. As things stand, the 22-year-old is still eligible to represent Nigeria. However, he will end the uncertainty surrounding his international future if a competitive outing for England is taken in during their upcoming Euro 2020 qualifiers against the Czech Republic and Bulgaria. Abraham already has 2 senior caps to his name, but they were collected during friendly outings against Germany and Spain in November 2017. His former Chelsea has brought him back into the reckoning, and a man who has worked hard to reach this point, taking in a number of loan spells along the way, is determined to become a mainstay in Gareth Southgate's plan. Finally, from the world of sports and on news desk, sadly it wasn't meant to be. Oshiola devastated by Nigeria's Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games miss. The forward contributed significantly in the progress of the Super Falcons, but her effort was not enough to see off Côte d'Ivoire. Asisat Oshiola has expressed disappointment on her inability to lead Nigeria's women's team to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games after the country were bounced out by Côte d'Ivoire. After early powering the Super Falcons past Algeria, the Barcelona star's solo effort cancelled Nani Capo's opener, but was not enough to see African champions pass the Ivorians on Monday. With Clementine Touré's team advancing to the fourth round of qualifying on away goals, Nigeria's bid to return to the Olympics for the first time in 12 years failed for a third consecutive attempt. The unfortunate development has left the three-time African Women's Footballer of the Year feeling heartbroken while apologizing to Nigerians for their ouster. "It's very disappointing and a real heartbreak for us," Oshiola said. After Monday's exit, Oshiola will now have to wait until France 2024 in a bid to actualize her dreams of becoming an Olympian. And that's the size of the news for today from Celebration Television News Desk. But just in case you missed out, here is a recap of the headlines. From the local scene, Sinach throws fans at Joel Austin's Lakewood Church. Army begins special operation November 1st. From the foreign scene, Lauren Daigle sets new record high with USA as #1 for 62 weeks on Billboard charts. On business, Twitter inadvertently used email addresses for ads. And on sports, sadly it wasn't meant to be. Oshiola devastated by Nigeria's Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games miss. And don't forget, you can stay connected to us and also be kept abreast of news and other events as they unfold by staying connected to us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it is Celebration TV. On Instagram, My Celebration TV. On Twitter, My Celebration TV. And on YouTube, www.youtube.com/Celebration TV. I am James Comfort, and thank you so very much for watching.
To 15.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offence.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun.